Alright, welcome back to the Sonic 30th anniversary playthrough, where I'm just kind of talking about Sonic, not really talking about the game too much. But before I launch back into my whole thing about, my history with Sonic games, I do want to just touch on this, that this video contains, I think, the two worst levels in the game. I think this level and the next level are the worst, and they perfectly encapsulate what I don't like about this game, or what hasn't aged well, or whatever, is that you just kind of want to go fast in a Sonic game, which means you just want to keep running, but this level just keeps putting things in your way to immediately slow you down, so that you can't go fast, because this game is not about going fast, even though that's what they claim it's about. So, yeah. Anyway, the last video I was talking about games. I'm going to talk about some other media. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is the Sonic OVA, which I remember I got for Easter, I guess the year it came out, and, this was like really kind of before the internet, or before I had the internet at least, and I would just kind of discover things. Like, I had never heard of this before, but apparently, I guess my mom had, because she just got me the VHS of it for Easter, and that's such a cool surprise when you have literally no idea that this thing exists, and then you just have it. I remember watching it that night and being so captivated by that, and I think that the Sonic OVA is probably still to this day the best piece of Sonic media that is not one of the games. I think it is animated really well. I think it's a fun story. The soundtrack is like otherworldly. It's so good. And as a kid, again, it was just another one of those things where I just liked seeing those characters talk. That was the first time I'd ever seen Knuckles animated in anything, same with Metal Sonic. I guess one of the shows that I didn't ever talk about, or I didn't talk about last time, was Sonic Underground, which was kind of in the same vein as the Sonic the Hedgehog show, but it's really awful. That one I never watched when I was a kid, or if I did, I saw like an episode and was like, okay, this is awful. Because even when I was a kid and I had absolutely no standards or no concept of, the fact that things could be bad, I still knew that that was bad. The only vivid memory that I have of that show is that Denny's did a promotion where you went in and you could get a plush Sonic or Knuckles doll from Sonic Underground, even though Knuckles was in like one episode, I think. And I got the Knuckles, and I loved it. My friend my friend Hank got the Sonic doll, and I was always really jealous. I was like, I wanted both of them. Then eventually, when we both got older, and he was like, I don't want this anymore, he just gave it to me. So I still have both of them. They're in my room right now. I'm looking at them. So that was my one and only memory with Sonic Underground, other than the fact that the theme song kind of slaps, honestly. It's pretty good. But not talking about movies or TV shows, another big part of the Sonic franchise was, and still is kind of, comic books. The Archie Sonic comic books were such a weird thing in the 90s. I never read them religiously when I was a kid. I would kind of just pick up an issue here or there, which is why I never really got into it, because that's not the kind of thing you can just jump into. Because I remember specifically one of the first issues that I ever got, Knuckles was green in it. Like, he was just green. And from what I can understand, that was like years in the story where Knuckles was just green. Like, he, as a kid, I didn't understand why, but apparently he, like, ingested Chaos Emerald radiation or something, and just turned green permanently, which is incredibly bizarre. Yeah, the whole Archie comic, I always loved the idea of them, and the fact that it was this, like, big, long, overarching story. And I always wished that I got in on the ground floor on that, and, like, started from the beginning, you know, read all the issues and stuff like that, followed all the storylines. But I never did. The first time that I really actually got into the series was when they were adapting Sonic Adventure. I remember when those issues were coming out, I actually went to my comic store and got all of those. And I really enjoyed that because, again, just seeing a game that I love be represented. And by the way, this is why the Spin Dash it should not have ever been put back into this game, because of stuff like that. That's nonsense. But yeah, just seeing a game that I love be adapted into another media was always cool to me. I'm getting the sense now, because I'm talking about all this stuff, that I didn't so much like playing Sonic when I was a kid. I more liked seeing him, which, you know, fair enough. Some of the Sonic games aren't great. I'd rather play a movie or, you know, read a comic than play them, but yeah, media, I think, was a big part of why I'm still a Sonic fan, is because it's not just the games. He was a multimedia project, I guess. But yeah, I didn't really follow the Archie comics after that. I know there's a whole lot of lore with the Sonic stuff and Ken Penders and stuff like that. How they had to reboot the whole thing because Ken Penders is a gigantic, talentless weirdo. When they canceled Archie Comics just straight out, and they announced that IDW was taking over, I knew that it was going to be in good hands, because IDW has had a very good track record of, like, relaunching classic kind of franchises into comics. They did it with Ninja Turtles, and those are really good. I'm not a Transformers guy, but I know that they've had Transformers for, like, a really long time. So when they first started putting out the IDW Sonic comics, that was my chance to do what I did not do when I was a kid, and I got in on the ground floor. I've read every single issue when they come out. The Sonic IDW comic is really, really good, because they got mostly fans to, you know, be a part of it, or at least people who are somewhat knowledgeable about Sonic. Like Ian Flynn, who's really good at the long-term kind of storytelling. He's had a lot of really good arcs on the IDW Sonic comic. And now currently Evan Stanley is writing it, and she's really good at kind of the more day-to-day slice-of-life Sonic stuff. There was a fun story about Chow races that I enjoyed. It's just a cool comic to read. You know, the artwork is really great, and it's clearly made with love for the franchise. And it is currently the only comic that I'm actually still reading, because once the pandemic hit, I was like, this is too expensive to be spending, you know, like $30 every week on comics, because I was reading a bunch of DC stuff, but I dropped all that, and the only one that I'm still reading is Sonic. And just, you know, yesterday they put out the 30th anniversary special, which is cool. And yeah, so that is some of the other media that I'm familiar with Sonic. I guess we should get back to the games a little bit. The last game that I left off with was Sonic Adventure 2, which means Sonic Heroes was up next. And that was such an exciting game, because I love Sonic, and I love the cast of characters in the Sonic games. So seeing a game where, let's see, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Big, Cream, Vector, Charmy, Espio, Shadow, Rouge, and Omega. That's That's 12 playable characters, technically. That was huge. And I was so excited for that because, you know, you get to play as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all at the same time. And I think that's still a cool concept, but that is one of the games that I think has aged the poorest. Just the worst. I think some of the levels in that are cool. The soundtrack's cool. I like that they gave Metal Sonic, you know, spoiler alert, kind of the headlining villain of that game, which is cool. But, yeah, it hasn't aged very well. The next game that came out, I actually never played when I was a kid, because it was just another one of those things where I just didn't know about it somehow. For as big of a Sonic fan that I was, I guess at this point I was kind of steering away from Sonic. It's that point when you're a kid where you're like, this thing's for babies, I don't enjoy this. So you start kind of moving away from things that you used to like, for really no good reason. So I remember one day, my friend came over, and I never had a PS2. Or I didn't have a PS2 yet at this point. And he brought over his PS2 and a bunch of games, one of which was Shadow the Hedgehog, which I, again, had no idea was even a thing. No idea that they were making it, and I was blown away. I was like, whoa, they made a Shadow game? And then I remember specifically, there was like a cutscene viewer in that game, or something, or maybe he showed me a level or something just to show me a cutscene. But he was like, this game's hilarious, they curse in it. So he just kept showing me cutscenes where like the gun commander would say like hell or damn. And we thought it was like the edgiest thing in the world, and we thought it was so funny. But yeah, I never played it again until like years and years later that I got my own copy of it on the GameCube. And yeah, that game's awful. That game is not good. It has the same gameplay issues that Sonic Heroes does, while also having one of the worst stories, and just overall, like, just bad levels. The fact that you have to play it, like, 30 times in order to actually beat the game fully is disgusting. It makes me want to vomit. But going back to the period of time where I was like, Sonic's for babies, you know, I'm not gonna play this anymore. I did break through that when a new game was released, and I was like, oh, this one actually looks pretty cool. I remember being very excited for it once it came out. I am, of course, talking about Sonic 06. I bought that game. No, I rented it. I never bought it initially. I rented it, and instantly was like, wow, this is the worst game I think I've ever played. But in like a funny way, because the same friend that brought his PS2 over, I remember bringing my Xbox over to his house and Sonic 06 while I still had it rented. And I was like, dude, you gotta check this out. This is awful. And we played it. We played the opening. We had a good time. We were laughing about that. But yeah, that was bad. I guess to bring it back again, 2D games that I really loved of Sonic's were the Sonic Advance games. I don't know what the general consensus is on these now, but when I was a kid, oh my god. Sonic Advance 1 and 2 specifically, I don't think I've ever played 3. There were 2 games that I probably wore out more than anything on the Game Boy Advance, and that was Yoshi's Island on the Game Boy Advance and Sonic Advance 2. I played the ever-living hell out of both of those games. And in fact, I do still have my cartridge of Yoshi's Island, and I did literally wear it out. The sticker on the front of it is completely worn off. You can't even see that it's Yoshi's Island. But, I was always the last stop on my bus. So on the way home from school, I would play... Again, if you saw me, I probably had a Game Boy SP, and I was either playing Sonic Advance 2 or Yoshi's Island. Both of those games ruled. I liked Sonic Advance 1, but Sonic Advance 2 was just one of the best. I played through that. I probably got to a point where I could beat like one of the stories in that just on my way home from school. I could just do that, and it was so much fun. Sonic Battle was another game that I remember being huge. I loved that game. One of the best art styles in any Sonic game. Like, the artwork in that game is so phenomenal. That period of time was just a good period for Sonic artwork in general. Because I think the Sonic Adventure games have the best art style. I'm not talking about the games themselves, I'm talking about specifically, like, the concept art and the character, like, promotional artwork is the best artwork in the series by far. Sonic Battle is a very close second. I just love how gritty it kind of looks. It has that Super Mario Strikers feel to it, which is also really great artwork, but yeah, Sonic Battle I remember really liking in terms of multiplayer. Like, the link cable, we would always link up. Me and my friend Hank would link up, we would fight, and that was more fun than anything, I think, in that game. Because I remember I got to a point that I never was able to beat in the story mode. It was when you played as Rouge, and I think you fought like a bunch of robots. I think it was Gamma. You fought like a bunch of Gammas in a casino. I remember that vividly because I spent hours trying to beat that as a kid, and I was never able to. But I think that's a cool concept. I think the gameplay was cool, and I like the idea of the story. I know that there was like a big overarching story in that game, which I always appreciate in a game. Even if it's not good, I will always appreciate a story. Unless you're Dead Rising 4, but that's different. I never played any of the Sonic Rush games, which were made by the same people who did Sonic Advance, because again, that was in that period where I was like, Sonic is for babies, I'm not playing any of these games. So I've never played any of the Rush games, and I know that Dimps went way downhill, like, after Sonic Advance. You know, I played Sonic Generations on the 3DS, I can vouch for that just being an awful game. Sonic 4 is another one that's not very good. In fact, I would say it's not good at all. Specifically, Part 1 is not good. I played, I think, a little bit of Part 2, and that was moderately better, but not by much. But yeah, Sonic 4 is not very good. That is not worth your time. I really do think Sonic Mania should be considered Sonic 4. We are once again wrapping up here, so I guess I should talk about the game a little bit. I like the idea of this fight, because it's not really a fight, you just basically platform up. You can hit Eggman, I don't remember if you can kill him early, but yeah, I like the idea of this, but it's just, again, Sonic 1, everything is trying to kill you in this game. There's so many things flying at you and trying to stab you, that this is just not fun. You know, but there you go. That is the end of that quote-unquote boss battle and the end of this video. So I will see you next time where we finish this dang game, and I guess I talk about modern Sonic, I guess is where this is going. So see you then.